What is going on, you guys? In this video, I'm going to tell you what I think is a pretty cool story from my childhood. And be easy on me on these Christmas lights. I'll get them down. I'm always in a huge hurry to get them up and not in a hurry to get them down. So this would have been around 92 or 93. So I would have been 10, 11 years old. And at the time, my family and we lived in a trailer park here just south of Houston. And there was a bunch of kids that lived in the trailer park as well. And every day after school, we'd kind of run amongst the place, playing catch or baseball or football, or we'd play basketball at different people's place. But there was another kid there, and if I remember correctly, his name was Wesley Forbes. I know for sure his name was Wesley, and I'm pretty confident. It was Wesley Forbes, and he lived there, and he was my age. And at the time, he was my best friend there. And I collected baseball cards, and he collected baseball cards. And at the time, my favorite player was Dave Justice and the Braves. Like, they were, the cat's ass at the time. And I don't remember. I think Wesley was a big Astros fan, which would have been normal. Biggio, Bagwell in their prime. So on and so forth. But we would always trade different things. And we were kids, we're 10, 11 years old. So we're not exactly always trading cards for cards. And I remember whenever Jurassic Park 1 came out, I think it was 92. That's when this story would have happened. And Jurassic Park came out, and then out came all the toys. And man, that movie was so huge. We watched it all the time. And then the toys came out, and man, Wesley and we wanted all the toys. The freaking Jeep that they had that went through the park, and the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and the action figures, and the whole nine. But my family and his family were, I wouldn't say poor, but, they didn't have a lot of extra income just laying around. So I'm wanting to say it was right after Christmas, and my grandparents on my mom's side were pretty well off. And I always got hooked up pretty fat at Christmas time. And I got a ton of Jurassic Park stuff, to include the Jeep. I remember specifically the Jeep. I remember specifically the big Tyrannosaurus. And then a couple other ones, like a Brontosaurus. And I remember I had the female, the main actress I remember I had her. And Jeff Goldblum, I think that's his name. I had him. Anyways, so Wesley and like I said, we would always trade, and he wanted my Jurassic Park Jeep. And at the time, I was like, dude, I just got this thing. Like, this is the coolest toy of all time. And, Ken Griffey Jr. was hot at the time. And so I remember I traded him the Jurassic Park Jeep and a miniature Tyrannosaurus. Maybe it was a raptor. Freak, it probably was. For, I can't remember what, but I remember 5 or 6 Ken Griffey cards and a tobacco mini, like a T206, T207 at the time. I didn't know. I had no clue. I just know that Wesley had a tobacco card, and I thought it was the coolest shit of all freaking time, man. Obviously I couldn't afford stuff like that, and in my circle at that age, like, there was no tobacco cards rolling around people's collection. And so we traded. I got the Griffey cards, the tobacco card, and he got the badass Jeep and the Raptor. So he got the better end of the deal. Well, this tobacco mini has followed me around literally for decades now at this point. I'm 41. And this was when I was 10. And so I joined the Navy when I was 19. And years later, I ended up coming home and getting a bunch of my sports cards and moving out to California with me, moving the cards out there with me. And, I still had this raw tobacco card. Okay, now fast forward. I hope y'all are following me. I'm sorry if this is all over the place. I feel like this is pretty clear. Fast forward to 2020, prime pandemic. You know, no one's going anywhere. We can't wipe our ass with anything because there's no toilet paper to be found. And I'm on a stream one night with, she blinded me with refractors, Andy, and Triple Crown 24, JT, those back pages, Eric. I don't know if Canadian Mike or Canadian Cards and Baseball Collector were there or not. But I specifically remember Andy, and I specifically remember JT and Eric. And so we started talking about tobacco cards and all that stuff. And I was like, you know, I have one, man. I have a tobacco card in my collection. Just one. I'm like, I don't know who the hell it is. And Andy was like, well, go find it. You know, see if you can, you know, go find it. So I went upstairs, I found it, brought it back down, and I was like, you know, this is it. And they're like, who is that? And I say who it is, and they're like, dude, that guy's a freaking Hall of Famer. And I was like, huh? No way. And they're like, yeah. So I looked it up, and sure as shit, it was a Hall of Famer. And here it is. This is the card right here. And the reason I'm doing this video right now is because it just came back from SGC today. And, you know, that was in 2020 when that stuff happened with Andy and JT. And I'm just now got it slabbed because I had some other items that I wanted to send to SGC for the first time ever. But I knew I wanted this card to go. So it came back, and it's a SGC 1. And honestly, I'm just happy that it's even a grade. I thought it was going to be authentic or altered or something. But it is a 1912 Recruit Little Cigars T207 Rube Marquard. So that's the story about how I traded a Tyrannosaurus Rex for a Rube Marquard. So here we are 30 years later, and I would like to think that I got the better of the trade with Wesley. I mean, this isn't a really expensive card at all. I think maybe $150, $100. But I'd like to think I got the better end of the deal. But then again, toys, vintage toys these days, man, them things are expensive as shit. So Wesley still might have got me. But that's my story. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I would love to hear via video or in the comment section if you have any crazy trades from your youth like that. I remember specifically the same guy, Wesley. I traded him a King Griffey Jr. signed baseball for, it was like 6 or 7 base, you know, that's all there was back then, was base Craig Biggio cards. So Wesley got me a couple times, but till next time, adios, be safe, bye-bye, doodles.